Today we're joined by Agam Vakil. It's a tough day and therefore we're hoping that Agam can maybe reverse that in second half of today.
Let me bring in back my buying might.
Yeah.
Maybe I can put in some 1,000 crores of mine and maybe trying to lift this market at this moment.
Agam, are you hiring people? I'll probably join you soon.
उससे market lift हो जाएगा?
Listen, you guys know that 1,000 crores is literally nothing to lift this market. I will just be pouring it all in the drain.
Yeah, but no. So jokes apart, we've brought in Agam so that because from November now, if we close January, this will be the 4th consecutive month where we're in decline. This has not happened since 2001.
Yeah,
and coincidence or otherwise, this has started since the point when the new F&O regulations have kicked in, which is 1st November, or just about prior to that, so from October onwards. And therefore, Agam can probably give us some perspective as to whether this could be one of the reasons. Of course, Sajeet sir and me as well will try to chip in.
So what's happening in F&O?
No, but before that, sorry, I'm just going to quickly take stock of how global markets are performing, because some bit of that impact also might come on us. And therefore, let me quickly take a check on that. US was down. You had the Dow down around 1/3%, the Nasdaq down around 0.5%, and you're looking at a pre-market which is also with a strong negative bias. The S&P 500 is down 1.4% and the Nasdaq futures are down 2.5%. And this is of course pre-open, so we'll have to wait for the end of day. Bond yields also have cooled off a wee bit. You're seeing 4.58% on the US 10-year bond yield. I'm just going to quickly take us through this, not too much. And we are at around $74 on the barrel where oil is concerned. So negative cues globally coming through for sure. That impacting our markets along with a negative set of earnings and a budget where expectations are there, but it seems the market is pricing a slightly negative sentiment when the budget is concerned.
Not just that, the Trump phenomena has started.
Yes, that's
in
also
the morning, late night, he said he's going to impose a tariff.
Yes.
And when Colombia agreed to, to the deportation flights, he has put that on reserve.
Yes.
So that Trump mania, which is about uncertainty in the market, has begun basically.
Yes.
And that's what is also weighing on the market to some extent, especially Asian markets में सबसे ज़्यादा वो हो रहा है क्योंकि सुबह गिरे सबके सब उसकी वजह से और अभी रिवर्स हो गया है. So ये अब हर कंट्री के साथ वो एक-एक करके करने वाला है. And it's going to be an uncertain time for the next couple of weeks or months, which is
for
going
plenty
to be
of markets. Yes, agree. But broader end is where the pain is, and that's where F&O comes into play. Do you believe that these new regulations which have come on the 1st of November, of course along with FIIs being a big contributor, when I'm zooming out, now let's not talk about global cues, but let's zoom out. FI numbers have been terrifically negative. We've been 50,000 crore in the negative, sir, for the month gone by. 68,000 crore negative now for the month gone by. And then coupled with F&O, what's happening on that count?
So let's zoom out a little. Firstly, on a financial year to date, we are not in the negative territory just yet. Okay, not even the Nifty. Nifty is up around 2.5%, but 2.5% is not much.
Correct.
You can go in maybe a couple of days. The Nifty 500 is up 3.7%, and the mid cap and the small cap indices, which have seen the most amount of pain, they are in fact up around 8% and 7% respectively. Where are we at this point in time? Where we were back in June for a lot of these indices, which means that if you had made an entry back in June, at this point in time, you probably are not losing out a lot of money. Pardon me. The question really is that at this point in time, if you were a trader or an investor for that matter, who had made investments back in May, June, July, August, and if you are now starting to see a little bit of red in your portfolios, you start to think that, you know what, do I want to get out of the market before I lose more? And that's where the precipitation is coming through. After following such a sharp cut in all these benchmark indices over the last few weeks, and of course, we saw the correction which started back in October itself. So the 4th straight month of declines is what we are setting up to be. Then at this point in time, well, a lot of traders and investors are going to be nervous. There was hope that there would be some amount of consolidation, even though not a revival in January because of the upcoming budget and how things are panned out in the previous few budgets in terms of taxation. But at this point in time, at least in the way things are turning out so far, it does seem like you have a handful of your last set of bulls also throwing in the towel.
But आप ये कह रहे हो कि फाइनेंशियल ईयर से पहले हमने जो लास्ट ईयर का रैली देखा था, people want to book profits on it, simple as that, because Nifty is what 2.8% up April to now,
yeah.
By the end of March 31st, when you are going to look at your financial tax planning and everything, you want to have some profits and everything, so you're booking that profits.
Possibly, yeah.
The small cap और mid cap जो ऊपर भागे थे 22-23% ऊपर थे, they have corrected sharply. मैंने individual stocks से पूछो मत, मतलब इंडेक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, individual stocks तो बहुत नीचे गया है, lot of pain is there in that individual stocks, but वो booking हो रही है अभी. पहले जो हो रहा था सिर्फ ऊपर से हो रहा था कि मैं अपना फ्रंटलाइन बेच दूंगा और करूंगा, बट नाउ इट इज मच मोर शार्पर एंड द करेक्शन इज आल्सो शार्पर बिकॉज लिक्विडिटी comes into play in those stocks which is there. So mutual funds which were sitting on the small cap gains will now at some point in time I feel that February March में अगर ये market ऐसा रहा तो they will start selling off some of the mutual fund small and mid cap companies and start booking profits so that they can show some
that will be huge if that were to happen, because as of today all of this 70,000 crore which has come which FIs have sold have actually been offset to some extent, if not entirely, by the domestic investors.
Actually, they've been net buyers actually उस समय अभी तक. तो वो जो impact है वो बहुत ही high होने वाला.
Do you think that is realistic, sir, or do you believe that they will actually take this as a opportunity to buy more rather than to sell out and
it's very अगर आपको नए इन्वेस्टर्स चाहिए तो आपको उनको रिटर्न दिखाना पड़ेगा ना.
Yes, that's true.
अगर रिटर्न नहीं दिखाओगे, पोर्टफोलियो रिटर्न नहीं दिखाओगे तो कैसे होगा? So they will buy at these levels because some of them have fallen 30-40%. Those stocks they will buy. पर जो स्टॉक ज़्यादा गिर रहे हैं, हम जो बात कर रहे थे कि भाई दे विल सेपरेट नाउ कि भाई कौन से स्टॉक्स में अर्निंग्स हैं, कौन से स्टॉक्स में नहीं है, कौन से स्टॉक्स में अर्निंग्स जो है आउट परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं उनके पी से, पी ग्रोथ से कितना आउट परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. अगर वो आउट परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं तो आई विल स्टे इन्वेस्टेड इवन इफ द स्टॉक इज गोइंग टू फॉल डाउन. इफ इट्स नॉट देन आई विल recorrect my portfolio.
Right. So, I mean, I'm going to now come in and give in my view on the futures and options space. So, imagine you're some of your long-term, traders who place long-term bets on options. You would tend to go ahead and sell the 23,000 put because at that point in time, back in November, December, you would have thought that 23,000 was a good base.
Yeah.
At that point in time, your put would probably give you a premium of about 100-150 points. We are now at 23,000, below that now. Now is the time when that particular premium starts getting tested. And that is where they will want to start unwinding their short puts as well. That leads to further exacerbation in the markets, and which means that in the near term, there is a possibility that before the budget, we could even see 22,800, which we have nearly almost seen it today. So it's really not such a big deal to have happened, but so firstly, and in terms of a base, if we first see is a close below 23,000 and sustain below 23,000 for a couple of days, it's not going to be a good picture. The second thing is that the India Volatility Index has risen, and that's not just because of the correction in the markets. Before any large event, you will see the option premiums expand. That's just the market factoring in any uncertainty because of a big event coming by your way. And usually in the run up to the budget, looking at a VIX of around 20-25 is not unheard of, and we're still at just about at 18-19 if I'm not mistaken.
Plus there are a couple of global events happening, right? Means Trump we spoke about, we have Fed FOMC meet which is there, and then and the weekend budget which is coming in. So a lot of macro data for us to absorb. Plus there's a more macro data of US also coming in. Right. So this is the last week of January and you'll have a lot of macro data coming in, and while they are penciling in that Powell will not decrease rates. He'll hold on to the rates. You have a Trump which is breathing down his neck saying that मुझे तुमसे ज़्यादा मालूम है, तुम rate कम करो.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And if that were to happen, of course, it'll be buoyant for markets. But how much of that has already been priced in by markets is the right question
and it
to
brings
ask.
the friction between the FOMC and the president, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the question, of course, is that President Donald Trump is an inflationary president. How does that matter? Because what happens is that it will lead to price inflation. In many of your wages, if you are going to deport a whole lot of people over the course of the next few months and years, your wages will tend to go up. If your wages go up, you will have an inflationary environment, and under those circumstances, you will have to a certain extent, have higher interest rates, and at least maintain interest rates if they are not going to go higher. All these things and all these facts and figures don't necessarily bode well with U.S. equity markets. And then that begs the question as to what happens to those funds which have already been brought out of India, gone to the US markets. Then when do those funds go and do they go into debt markets? Will we get some of those funds back? It's very, very unlikely.
Fair point. Sajeet sir, so let's now zoom in slightly tighter and look at domestic, right? We've spoken enough about global. Let's talk domestic. So you believe that the broader markets will continue to see pain at least till the 31st of March, at least till that point.
Yeah.
If DIs were to exit, your view, what will they buy?
See, DI's exit is not going to happen utna, right? Because if you're getting 35 to 40,000 crores in SIP, the exits are not is going to be cushioned by to that extent.
Correct. So you were suggesting that they will sell small and mid caps, and that's what I'm trying to understand. So what will they buy in where they are selling? What's your view? Because they'll have to put in that money, because incrementally, as you said, money
maybe
is coming
in the last 3 months, and Agam, correct me if I'm wrong, people many of the DIs have used some of the cash position they were sitting on. Some were sitting at 6 to 8% cash. वो सब deploy किया हुआ है.
Correct.
So जो नया जो cash आ रहा है वो कितना deploy करेंगे या hold on करेंगे budget के बाद तक वो depend करेगा. क्योंकि बजट में मैक्रो नंबर्स आर नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज मच. फिस्कल डेफिसिट का जो पाथ है वो वही रहेगा. आपको मालूम है कैपेक्स इस साल कम था इलेक्शंस की वजह से. अगले साल अगर 11 लाख हो गया, मार्केट विल बी हैप्पी विद इट. अगर 11 लाख से कम हुआ, देन मार्केट विल बी डिसअपॉइंटेड कि भाई पिछले साल का नहीं हुआ, इस साल भी अगले साल का भी कम कर दिया. कंजम्पशन में क्या कर रहे हैं पता नहीं हमको अभी तक कि हाउ कैन दे रिवाइव कंजम्पशन फॉर द मिडिल क्लास और अदर्स. So there could be tinkering or
GST rates. That's probably the only way to tweak consumption. I don't think they have too much bandwidth.
But GST को
otherwise, of course, you go into universal basic income and stuff like that. That's a totally different ball game.
नहीं, but 10 lakhs up to 10 lakhs के उसमें अगर कुछ tax rate rebates increase करते हैं तो you have that additional income coming in, right? So इसके अलावा आपने हर स्टेट अब तो 2,000 रुपए दे रहा है हर फैमिली को, either of the
directly or indirectly. किधर तो
हो रहा है. जो स्टेट्स इलेक्शन में जा रहे हैं वो सब
that is the new norm now.
New norm which is coming in. But point is that वो consumption आना चाहिए, नहीं तो नहीं होगा. But as you said, आपका जो ब्रॉडर मार्केट है उसमें काफ़ी फॉल है. अभी अगले एक हफ्ते में पता चल जाएगा कि भाई आप कौन से स्टॉक्स में हो. अगर अभी हम देखेंगे ना कि कौन कौन से स्टॉक्स ऊपर से नीचे गिरे हैं, कितने गिरे हैं, इट विल बी आई थिंक 40-50% स्टॉक्स ऐसे हैं जो 30 to 50% गिरे होंगे.
What's your bet, Agam? You believe that mid and small, there's still some pain left for it to go?
So no, the feeling on the street is that so far in the mid cap and the small cap space, for all the fund managers that we've spoken about, they are suggesting that only the froth is out yet. Overvaluation is still a part of the equation at the moment, maybe not as much as what we were used to about 6 months ago, but these stocks are still overvalued. That said, as Sajeet sir was pointing out, in the Nifty 500, out of the 500 stocks, there are maybe 350 to 400 stocks which are corrected well over 25% from their recent peaks.
Yes. That's huge.
But I just want to point out that if a stock were to be possibly trading at 120 times, it's corrected 30%. It is still trading at ridiculous valuations at this point in time.
Yes.
And so if that stock is still giving you a growth of around 15, 20, 25%, I don't know. Maybe it still looks expensive,
Yes.
on a relative basis.
Yes.
It's not an amazingly special market that earnings can only accelerate for these stocks, and some of these are actually have a market capitalization of well over 70,000, 80,000 crores.
Yes.
So these are not small companies either.
Correct. Mind you, there have been tweaks even to market cap on what's a small cap, what's a mid cap. You may want to revisit that as well, because those are big tweaks made. But just to add to Agam's point, the 5-year relative valuation on the Nifty mid cap and the small cap is far lower than the current valuation even now.
Yeah.
So there definitely is some amount of froth, and I'm not talking individual stocks, I'm talking entire broader market.
Yeah.
There clearly seems to be even now some bit of froth which is still there despite this correction.
Right.
So that seems to be the clear verdict between the three of us. At least that's the viewpoint coming in. You have to assess your own views, and of course take help of financial experts before you take positions in specific stocks. So please don't rely on our advice for that. But talking about specific stocks, sir, let me come to you on this one. The entire pack, financials, lending, under pressure today. Those which have done well on asset quality are getting rewarded, and ICICI and the like.
And even if
those
there is
which
a
are not doing
minor
well,
fall in the advances or minor pains which are coming in, the market is okay with that. Asset quality
precedence.
Is
This is like 3 quarters back, जब deposits. Anyone doing well on deposits, market was very very happy with them. So now
अभी सबको मार्केट मालूम है डिपॉजिट्स तो आ रहा है, एडवांसेस तो सबके नीचे हैं.
उसके पहले मार्जिन नंबर था, मार्जिन था, फिर डिपॉजिट्स था, अभी इट्स
अभी आज भी एसबीआई और आईसीआईसीआई की वजह से मार्केट थोड़ा सा रिबाउंड हुआ था, जो 1% तक गिरा था. उसके बाद आईसीआईसीआई और एसबीआई की वजह से रिबाउंड हुआ था, और आईसीआईसीआई के नंबर्स were looking good, but they also showing some pain, right? I mean, in the sense, I was seeing your commentary on ICICI saying that there's a pressure coming in from pricing on the home mortgage segment,
Yes.
which is there. There is some kind of stress coming in the unsecured. It's not as big as others, but आ रहा है वो तो वो पेन सबके साथ है. वो डिग्री ऑफ पेन किसका सबसे ज्यादा है वो.
It's not as much in ICICI.
No, but I have a question for you. And again, this is something that I've gathered from fund managers that we've been talking about, that they're like financials still have some space to go up. Even frontline names. What's your take on this one?
Well, so I will stick to the same analogy I made for broader markets. Let's look at 5-year price to book valuations.
Yeah.
At least a 20 to 30% discount, barring ICICI.
Yeah.
So let me bring ICICI out of the equation, because that's a standout, in terms of numbers and performance sequentially. You look at HDFC, you look at Kotak, you look at the frontline names, you look at IndusInd. Oh my God, 1.6 I believe would be the price to book. It's currently trading at 1
for a
time.
reason.
For a reason. Microfinance being under pressure. But the question therefore is, Agam, at what point is it good to bottom fish?
Right.
Is this that point?
Right.
Is the question.
Yeah.
Is it going to get worse from here? If IndusInd were to report a tough set of numbers, can it go below 1 time price to book is really the question one would ask. Because the growth continues, mid-teens, maybe slightly lower teens, just about early teens. And that's where ICICI has also clocked growth 14% odd. And therefore, where do you kind of bottom fish at is really the question which I would ask myself where IndusInd is concerned. Where HDFC and Kotak are concerned, I believe in a bad asset quality environment, generally these two tend to outperform. Tend to. And it warrants an outperformance because your 5-year price to books are far lower, and it's a consensus buy. And therefore then begs the question whether consensus buy will actually make money.
Right. Well, speaking of F&O, if you were to have sold the 2000 call on Kotak Mahindra Bank for the last 4 years every single month, you would have probably outperformed the markets by a huge mile, because that's something that's been a little bit of a complaint for everyone. But for everyone who's very effectively hedged their bets on Kotak Mahindra Bank specifically, they are none too happier. So technically you're still holding the bank, but you're also making money on your sold options. So that was but does it seem like that Kotak Mahindra Bank is now going to be ready to move above the mark of 2,000 rupees a share?
I believe everything is in the hands of the RBI.
Right.
If the RBI reverses its embargo, I believe the stock will see positive.
Assume that it happens in a quarter or so. How do you assess the performance of the new management? अब 2 quarter तो हो ही गए ना?
I believe it's So one is it's difficult to call because in the last 4 quarters, the biggest challenge for them has been the RBI embargo, and that has not gone away yet. And therefore, in a normalized environment, I'm not able to assess as to how the management will perform. But it's a very tempered commentary which they come out with.
Could change aggressive. Uday Kotak versus the new person, the way he's working or the way he's trying to
really.
manage the narrative. Let me put it this way. It's all about managing the narrative.
Yeah, so that he's been doing very well. In fact, I would credit him over an HDFC in the way he's managing the narrative, because it's tough for a bank under an embargo to manage narrative. And HDFC has been criticized a couple of times in the last 2 to 3 quarters on the way in which they are delivering commentary to shareholders and stakeholders and market participants. So in that sense, Kotak has done much better. I think the re-rating will be warranted the minute the RBI embargo goes away. Is my decently strong view, if I can put it on this on this platform.
Yeah, sure. Well, all eyes on Kotak Mahindra Bank.
We've got quite a few questions as well coming. So the first question, Sajeet sir.
SG Mart पे कुछ है ना?
So SG Mart पे तो है ही. But outside of that, Exide's downfall. Is the industry not poised for growth? That's a far more interesting question. Crazy Crux has asked this question. Fact India TV, we will reply to you on SG Mart. But what about this one? Exide.
The next growth trigger for them is EV, right? With lithium.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is there. That's what he's talking about as well. But कितना ग्रोथ होगा वो पता नहीं है. हमने पिछले अभी भारत मोबिलिटी में हमने देखा कि कितने लोगों ने इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स लॉन्च किए हैं या करने वाले हैं. सो नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर एंड नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 quarters यू गोइंग टू सी अ लॉट ऑफ ईवी कमिंग अप इन द मार्केट. एंड उसमें आइदर एक्साइड होगा या हमारा राजा होगा या बाहर के लोग होंगे. अगर टाटास का है तो टाटास का अपना आएगा जो है उसमें. बट Exide and wo is something which is there. But I was doing a dipstick and I wanted to change my car battery. I had an Exide battery. I went to an Exide distributor. He recommended Amara.
Yes, this has happened to me as well.
And that is and he said इसमें पोस्ट सेल्स कंप्लेंट्स बहुत आ रही हैं. दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज टोल्ड कि आप हमारा राज्य लीजिए, उनका इंसेंटिव भी अच्छा है. एंड दैट the pricing is almost the same. It's when you go for a battery, it's almost the same kind of thing. But this is something which is very interesting for me, that on the ground, their dealership itself is now recommending Amara Raja, which is there, and that's creating
either that or is the commission structure, sir.
Could be.
Where the sellers are being
I don't know.
to push Amara Raja.
In the sense, मेरे लिए तो pricing दोनों का same है ना. मेरे पास Exide मांगने गया.
Correct.
Simple.
कितना है आजकल सर pricing कितना है बैटरी का? 6000 के आसपास.
उतना ही है. उतना ही है. Means it depends upon vehicle to vehicle and the kind of ampere you're talking about. But वो उतना change होता है. But that is something which is there, and I don't know how it will impact on the normal sales of the battery, especially replacement. जो market होता है OEM में तो ठीक है आ जाता है, right? But replacement market is something which gives them additional sales going forward. So I don't know उसका why is that happening. It's a ground reality that happened with me, and I think Hersh के साथ भी हुआ है.
It's happened.
So we have to be attuned to the what's happening on the ground कि भाई क्या हो रहा है.
Industry is poised for growth, Agam, before I come to you, but it's also the fact that the stock has run up in such a fantastic fashion. I remember seeing the stock at 140 levels when Exide Life, or rather Exide Limited, sold its life insurance business to HDFC Life. Thereafter, it's been only a one-way street. for the stock. So a little bit of a cool off, a consolidation, and maybe Agam can add to this far more. Warranted, right? I mean, you can't always be one way.
Yeah, look, again, very, very wide in elaborate expansion plans, but I think at the moment, if we're just talking about the way things are going in the markets, it's only well expected. But actually, we do have an interesting question on. Actually, this is an interesting question, but it's a very old question.
Right.
We get this very often. Is IDFC the new HDFC Bank?
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I think it's far from comparable. You want to go?
No, not. HDFC Bank, yes. Is HDFC Bank the old HDFC? No.
No, it's not.
It's not. HDFC Bank need to reach out to that level of HDFC.
Correct.
जहाँ पर 25 आग बंद करके एनालिस्ट बोलते हैं 25% टॉप लाइन गिरेगा बढ़ेगा और 20% प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा क्वार्टर आफ्टर क्वार्टर कंसिस्टेंसी दैट हैज टू बी अचीव्ड दे हैवंट बीन एबल टू डू दैट आफ्टर द मर्जर बट दैट्स आई थिंक द बेंचमार्क दे हैव टू वर्क टुवर्ड्स व्हिच इज देयर बट आई थिंक ICICI Bank is emerging as one solid bank which is conservative in approach under the new leadership. The leadership doesn't talk much, but that's a different thing. But analysts से बात करते हैं भी करते हैं. But it is turning out to be a very conservative, excellent bank which is there. Yeah. And gradually I've been watching every quarter and it's consistent. Means there is no negative surprises that we get to see from ICICI Bank.
Yeah.
Which is there.
That's not there.
The other question here is what's happening to Motilal Oswal Financial Security? So, firstly, we have to remember that Motilal Oswal, along with a lot of the other brokerage companies, had hit the roof just about a few weeks ago. This correction, to a certain extent, this sharp one, is warranted. Even the valuations at which they were trading at was not necessarily expected, especially given that the managements of these very companies had suggested that since we've had the weekly options move out of the way, their own revenues from brokerages have taken a little bit of a hit. Not a hit, but it's certainly slowed down. So this was only expected. There was a significant amount of froth then, and it's very evident in Angel One's numbers and the way things have panned out over the last couple of months. And I reckon that Motilal Oswal also was one of those which was still hanging at like significantly high levels, and of course today's precipitation is something else. But I reckon that today is a lot of people also either booking very, very small profits from very long-term basis, or for that matter also booking losses.
That same impact is happening in CDSL as well. Because transaction charges have fallen quarter on quarter for CDSL क्योंकि weekly options गिरे हैं तो जो volumes have गिरे.
Look at the impact on EBITDA, 210 to 145.
That shows that multiplier effect of volumes, right? Means volumes गिरेगा तो 1:1 नहीं है, 1:1.5.
Actually, after all this correction, there's one stock that still holds on. Has not seen a significant correction. That's BSE. It's still holding on.
Yes, but BSE has a replacement. It has your Star Mutual Fund in it. It has various verticals.
So when two weeks back when I was speaking to the BSE CEO and we did it on NDTV Profit, he said very clearly that मेरे premium turnover is going up.
Correct.
Right.
And he gets his revenue from premium turnover.
Not volume.
Not volume. He said because of longer weeks, the kind of contract size is going up because of lot size going up. People are taking long-term things, so the premium turnover is going up, and my revenues will be hit, but not to the extent 30-40% जो सब लोग बात कर रहे थे. And same is the case for NSE. NSE is also going to benefit in the same way, which is there. So
in fact, I would partially argue that BSE was never going to be a loser in that case.
It was in fact going to be a winner.
It's going to be a winner because firstly, it had only 2 weeklies, out of which the BankX weeklies was not so widely traded. And because of the fact that you had extinguishing of a handful of weeklies from the NSE, a lot of that trade goes to BSE's Sensex. So it only advances because of
I just wanted to take one stock which I think Fact TV has been asking for last couple of days.
Have to take it tomorrow.
हाँ मैं एक simple बता देता हूँ कि numbers 24 को आए थे. It is a B2B trading platform for building materials. Top line. 28 करोड़ का कुछ उनका 9 month का वो है profit, if I'm not wrong. I have the numbers in front of me. 3,800 crore का market cap है. Last year उन्होंने 28 करोड़ का इस साल का इस थर्ड क्वार्टर का प्रॉफिट है और टोटल में 70 करोड़ किया उन्होंने प्रॉफिट. सो और टू गिव अ पर्सपेक्टिव FY24 में प्रॉफिट से 60 करोड़, तो 9 मंथ में 70 कर लिया.
हाँ, ट्रेलिंग 12 मंथ्स 100 है, तो जस्ट सी द काइंड ऑफ
थिंग. बट उन्होंने अपना प्लेसमेंट किया था 450 रुपीज़ पर शेयर पे और अभी स्टॉक 380 के आसपास है. सो यू नो वी नीड टू गो फर्दर इनटू डीप इनटू इट टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट इज द मॉडल. बट बेसिक नंबर ये नंबर अच्छे दिख रहे हैं वो. एंड आई वाज लुकिंग एट स्मॉल कैप्स में पहला चीज़ देखता हूँ कि कौन उसको ऑडिट कर रहा है. तो वॉल्टर चंदोक कर रहा है, तो थोड़ा सा फेथ है कि नंबर्स सही है.
ठीक. Right, sir. So, guys, out of time, it's slightly differentiated kind of discussion today on F&O, on why markets are possibly falling, couple of stocks, lots of financials in focus for various reasons, F&O and otherwise, and of course asset quality wise. We hope you found this productive. We'll again come back to you tomorrow, same time, get you fresh set of ideas, new discussion points. We'll take you through all of that. And here's hoping that at least the rest of the day goes through without incident, and hopefully tomorrow is a better day than today. But otherwise, stay tuned to NDTV Profit. Click on the bell icon.
But we're not going to go today without any incident. The incident's already happened, unfortunately.
No more, Agam.
No more, hopefully.
But do click on the bell icon so that you get updates from us, and stay tuned to NDTV Profit. Lots more lined up on the channel.
And IT is under 2.8% down.
It's just 3 of us going away, but the channel's still alive. So stay there. Stay with us.